All praises. All right. So, good. All right. So I had stopped at the this portion here. The I'll go from the top here. It says why DNA chromosome data proves Greeks to be so-called Asians, right? And then it says in human genetics, haplogroup JM172 or J2 is a Y chromosome haplogroup, which is a subclade or branch of haplogroup JM304. Haplogroup JM172 is common in modern populations in Western Asia, Central Asia, South Asia, okay, Southern Europe, Northwestern Iran, and North Africa. It is thought that JM172 may have originated. This is very important. It is thought that JM172 may have originated between what? The Caucasus, which we know the so-called European is not from. Okay, this is Japheth's land. Okay, so JM172 may have originated between the Caucasus and Anatolia, okay, which is so-called West Asia, okay, where you find the country of Turkey, and or Western Iran. All right. So they're saying, hey, listen, this came from the Caucasus Mountains, Anatolia, all the places that we've been saying that Japheth is from. They're saying that this is where this DNA is from. All right. So it continues and says haplogroup JM172 is found mainly in the Fertile Crescent, all right, the Caucasus, all right, Anatolia, Italy, which we looked at, Mediterranean littoral, and the Iranian plateau, all right. Um, it says the highest reported frequency, this is what I wanted to bring out from last week, of JM172 ever was 87.4 among the English people. All right. And I remember last week I was not able to properly find the English receipt. But I was able to find it. So the English people, all right, the name the Edomites gave them the name English people, okay, but they actually call themselves Galgai. All right. So let's look at this receipt here. Okay, the Galgai people. All right. I'm just gonna click right here. All right. Similarly, English is not the self-designation, but a Russian ethnonym. All right. So the Edomites gave them that name based on the name of the village Angusht. The English call themselves, you see that? Galgai. All right. Galgai. All right. Historically, the name of a clan confederation, see below. All right. So the English call themselves Galgai. All right. Knowing that, it says Galgai people are also called Scythians. I'll read that again. Galgai people are also called Scythians. Let's look at the receipt. Um, let's see here. All right, let me see if I can get this. Uh, second. All right. Okay, I think that is what I want. In ancient times, Greek and Roman geographers called native inhabitants of the middle and eastern parts of northern Caucasus Geli or Legi. The name Geli, Gelai, is the equivalent of the modern Galga, okay, as pronounced in their own language and in the Tushin language. And the equivalent of Legi is the Georgian Lekebi. In Georgian, the first corresponds to Gil, singular, and so on and so forth. All right, and so on and so forth. But the point here is that the name Geli or Gele is equivalent to the modern Galga. Okay, and don't get tricked. You know this. They just dropped the I. All right, it's the same name, same word. All right. I have another receipt here. Let's see here. See what I got here. All right. The Galate. All right. In the first century AD, the ancient Greek geographer Strabo mentioned the Galate and Lege. Notice we just read Gali and Legi. See, here's the alternate spellings. Okay, Galate and Legi tribes in his work Geographica. He mentioned how, according to Theophanes of Mytilene, who participated um, uh, they should say participated in the Caucasian campaign of Pompey, the Galate and Legi lived between the Amazons and Albanians. Now, Theophanes, who made the expedition with Pompey and was in the country of the Albanians, says the Galate and the Gele and Lege, Scythian people. The Gele and Lege, Scythian people. You guys see that? Live between the Amazons and the Albanians, and that the Myrmedalis River flows there midway between these people and the Amazons. Georgian historian and linguist Ivan Yavkishvili and linguist Doctor of Philological Sciences Arnold Chikobava have connected the Gili with the ethnonym Galgai or English. So the one linguist and a doctor connected the Galai or Galai with the ethnonym Galgai or English. What does that mean? English people are Galgai people, are Scythian people. It's all the same people, just different names. All right. Now that we know that, we already looked at the English woman, English woman from 1818, what she looked like, right? She looked like a so-called Asian. All right. That's the English woman from 1818. Let's look at Scythians, man. Scythian Exhibit A. All right. I don't know what's happening. These people with their cookies. Anyway, this is a Scythian idol statue, stone depicting a male face, ancient Scythian period. Somebody help me. Which race of people does this look like? Sava, who does this look?
The Japhites.
That's right. Which today would be called what?
So-called Europeans or Asians.
Well, it would be so-called Asians, right? The so-called Europeans, you know, they call those it's the so-called white people that call themselves Europeans, right? But we know the real Europeans are the Japhites or the so-called Asians, all right? So that looks like an Asian man. This is an ancient Scythian idol, man, right? They make sure they give you the little arm and eye with the flat face, right? Let's go and look at another exhibit real quick. All right, this says samples of Scythian jewelry from its own depository and the State Hermitage Museum Gold Depository and the latest finds of the Ufa archaeological expedition. Akira. Akira.
Yeah, I'm here.
What does this look
Hello?
like? Yeah, yep. What does this look like? What does this look like to you?
That
Which
looks like an Asian man.
yeah, and what about this guy?
Because of the big nose, also Asian.
Yeah, and the same flat face, right? I mean, and here as well, right? And we know they love that Fu Manchu mustache style, man, right? This one lying down here even has like a bun. That same little bun that they like to wear, especially in those kung fu movies, right? And how do we know again? This is an ancient artifact, and the so-called Asians or Japhites were known for horses. Okay, so this is another big clue. All right, anytime you see these horses, look out, man. All right, in early times, look out. You know, they're likely Japhites, right? Especially in that area. So the point is, Scythian people are so-called Japhites. Okay. Um, so when they found that this DNA was most among the English people, hey, that's showing you that these people are Japhites, man. These English people are so-called Scythians. When you look at them on the ancient artifacts, they look like so-called Asians. These are Japhite people. All right. So I just wanted to show those receipts because I was able to find them. All praise to the Most High. All right. So let's get into what we're going to deal with today. Part 5 of our series, the Nabatean lie and the reclamation of Edom, right? Okay, so using the precedent that he set for establishing the Edomite Greek kingdom, Esau established the Nabatean kingdom. All right. So what precedent did he set? Well, he come in, he steal, he creep in nice and quiet, right? Create chaos, steal your country, and then, time you check yourself, he's you, right? That's his strategy, right? So Esau established the Nabatean kingdom using this very same precedent, right? To reclaim Mount Seir. Though his historians claim it was the Arab who ruled and built Petra in Edom, the scriptures and archaeology say that it was the Edomite. All right. So let's examine or prove that. Right. Let's prove that. All right. So we'll start with first, what does Esau say about the Nabateans? All right. Um, let's see here. Akira, can you read the first paragraph there for me, please?
Sure. Nabatean, member of a people of ancient Arabia whose settlement lay in the borderlands between Syria and Arabia, from the
Euphrates? Euphrates,
Euphrates River to the Red Sea.
right?
Little is known about them before 312 BC, when they were unsuccessfully attacked by Demetrius' first Polyarchs.
Polyor, Polyorcetes.
Polyarchs, king of Macedonia, in their mountain fortress of Petra, south of the Dead Sea.
Mm-hmm.
Their monopoly on the rich caravan trade that passed from the Arabian interior to the coast was the chief source of their prosperity.
Okay, stop right there. So that's what is generally said about the Nabateans. This is from Britannica, all right? What you're gonna come to learn is that this is completely false. This this is completely false. I'll just leave it at that. You're gonna come to realize that this statement is completely false, right? And we got the receipts to prove it, right? But I just wanted to show you guys what Esau says about the Nabateans. Now, let's look at doubts, right? Because though we read that, Esau himself has doubts about the things that historians say about the Nabateans. All right. So I'll read here the doubts among the Edomites. All right. First point says, information on Nabateans is all conjecture. okay, says historian Jane Taylor, all right? Quoting, Jane Taylor's Petra and the Lost Kingdom of Nabateans, a book she wrote, is especially informative about the Nabateans. Taylor states that nobody really knows when the Nabateans first set foot in Petra. She adds that it is even more questionable if they were truly Semitic people. Their own Edomite says it's questionable if the Nabateans were truly Semitic people. All right. She said, and that they had been mixed up with Arabs of a similar ancient name, right? And I agree with this. They definitely were mixed up with Arabs of a similar ancient name, right? Even if some Nabateans, she says, settled in the mountains of Edom around the early 6th century BC, which is 600 BC, she said this is all conjecture. Okay, what is conjecture? Conjecture is an opinion or conclusion formed on the basis of incomplete information, right? Guesswork, speculation, surmising, fancy, notion, belief, or suspicion, all right? So they can't prove none of this stuff about the Nabateans, is what Jane Taylor is saying, right? Let's look at a second point here. Sava, can you read this section here, please?
Okay. Historians admit to not knowing exactly when Petra was built, while propaganda claims it was built in 100 CE.
Right.
Precisely when cities like Petra or Hegra were constructed is unclear, but they were well established by the later 4th century BCE,
Right.
when the wealth of the Nabateans attracted the attention of the Greek general and future king Antigonus, who reigned from
That's read Antigonus the first, okay? The I
uh,
there just means the first, all right?
according to Malachi 1 to verse to 5, it wasn't their wealth that attracted Antigonus. It was the fact that the Arabs had become squatters in Esau's land and they wanted it back.
Right. Thank you very much. Right. And with that, we're gonna bring out Malachi 1 and we'll read verse 1 to 5. Right? Malachi 1. All right. Any readers there amongst the brothers? Brother Chris or brother Sean, you guys want to grab this one?
Yeah, either one of us, I guess.
Verse Malachi 1.
One from verse 1 to 5. So let me just reiterate here, right? It says precisely when cities like Petra and Hegra were constructed is unclear. Now we know it was constructed when Esau was there. We know that from scriptures. They don't know that because they're not looking at the scriptures, right? And if they're looking, they don't believe the scriptures. They want to come up with their own story. But we know that these places were built by the Edomites who stayed there for over 1,000 years. Okay. It says, but they were well established by the 4th century BC when the wealth of the Nabateans attracted the attention of the Greek general and future king Antigonus I. This is a false statement. Okay, it wasn't no wealth of no Nabateans that did no attracting. First of all, it wasn't even the Nabateans, all right, which we will learn as we do this study. It was actually the Kidarites, whose stuff that they stole. And you know, um, when we read Malachi, we're gonna see that Esau just wanted his land back. The reason Esau came and invaded Petra back, the caves back, is because He wanted his land back. Why did he want his land back? Because he made a lot of money on that land. Okay, everyone that was going to Gaza, which we'll see as we go throughout the study, everyone that was going to Gaza, which was a port city, had to pass through his land. Everyone that was going to Damascus from Arabia, and this is from Arabia. If people were coming from Egypt, they had two choices. They could have go along the coast and just go straight to Gaza, or they could have come and meet traders in Esau's land on the King's Highway, and then go to Gaza or go to Damascus, which was another uh, trading city. So this was all about making money, right? This was all about trade. Okay, Esau knew that so much people came to his land and made him rich. He wanted his land back. Remember, Esau even had kings before the Israelites had kings. All right. And this was literally called the King's Highway. Which king? Esau. The highway that was going from Egypt, along the Sinai Peninsula. Let me show you guys. This made Esau a lot of money, man. Right? And the man wanted his thing back. Right? So let me actually see if I could find the King's Highway real quick. All right, perfect. The King's Highway. All right. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me try to open this up. All right. You see that? This highway belonged to Esau, man. This guy had a highway right from here, okay, the sea coast, in his land of Edom, okay, down here. The road ran from Memphis, Egypt, okay, to the Sinai Peninsula, which is this area here, all the way to the middle of Edom, all through Edom, all the way up to Damascus, all the way up to Resapha, man, in Syria. So Esau made a lot of money on this highway, man. Anybody coming from Egypt passing through here, they gotta pay Esau. Anybody coming from Arabia, which is down here, coming up, they gotta pay Esau. Right? Remember, we had to ask Esau to come through his highway, man. And he said, hell no, you can't come through here. Right? So that's why we went around Arabia and went the whole other way and came up this side, because we couldn't take the man's highway. He said no. Right? Anybody going through Gaza, through Arabia, which is down here, would cut across and would go up the King's Highway and cut across. You want to go to Hebron, same thing, and so on and so forth. Damascus, as I spoke about, was a big trading port, right here, sorry. So, hey, Esau was getting rich off of this thing, so he wanted it back. All right. Let's go back here. Malachi. All right, go ahead, brother.
Okay, 1 second. This is the book of Malachi, chapter 1 and verse number 1. The burden of the word of Yahweh to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, saith Yahweh. Yet you say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith Yahweh? Yet I loved Jacob. And I hated Esau, and laid his mountain and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness.
Hold on a second. So we looked at this scripture a few times before. I'm going to keep going back to it. The Most High laid Esau's mountain and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. That's literally the Arabs. Okay, they came and they settled in his land when the Most High got rid of him, when he made the Babylonians, Nabonidus to be specific, kick him out of his land, man. right? And he moved. It turns out that that basically happened around the same time that Israel went into captivity. So a remnant of the Edomites stayed in southwest Judea, right? And that land became named Idumea because of the Edomites, the Edomite remnant that had stayed there. It's close to the port of Gaza, but most of them got kicked out of the place. You understand? And that's when they moved to so-called Europe in droves, right? And took over Japheth's land and his civilization. Okay. Um, but the point is, the Most High said he would lay his heritage waste and give it to who? The Arabians, man. And that's what he did, right? So Esau wanted his thing back from the Arabians. Okay. I'll read on.
Verse number 4. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh hath indignation forever.
Okay, that's it. That's all I want on that. So Edom is going to say, oh man, we're impoverished, but don't worry, we're going to return. The Most High leave our mountain and our heritage, which is Mount Seir and the land of Edom. He laid it waste for the dragons of Arabia. He made them take it over. But don't worry, we're going to come back and we're going to do what? Build the desolate places. Now, when you read the history books, they try to convince you that it was Arabs that built Petra, Jordan, right? That you guys know the tomb that we always look at and that whole area, which is full of places like that. They try to say that the Arabs built that, but God said no. Esau said he's going to return to his land and he will rebuild the desolate places. That's why Petra has a Roman Colosseum in it. That's why it has Roman temples in it. Because Esau came back and built up his thing again. You understand? But the Most High say, hey, oh, don't worry, you build. I'm still going to throw it down, right? Oh, and by the way, when people figure out who you are, they're going to call you the border of wickedness and the people against whom Yahweh have indignation forever. And we are in this time now, right? There was a time they were escaping, right? We were all Christians, man, you know, worshiping white Jesus and talking about how God loves everybody and talking about how, unity is strength, man. Not thinking about unity with our people, but thinking about unity with other people who hate us, right? But now we know this man is the border of wickedness and the man that God have anger against forever, right? So, this was fulfilled, right? Already physically, and it shall be fulfilled indeed spiritually, the spiritual portion of this, because the law is spiritual. It's not just physical words on a book of events that actually happen. There is a spiritual meaning to every scripture as well, man. And the spiritual meaning is that this same thing is going to happen with Esau's kingdom as a whole, right? Which encompasses the whole world in this time, right? But we'll get to that. So I wanted to prove here, hey, these guys didn't just, Antigonus didn't come and take Petra because they saw the Arabs' wealth and wanted it. All right. They wanted their land back. That's what they wanted. Right. Moving on. So remember, we're looking at the doubts among the Edomites about this whole Nabatean story. All right. So it says, historian Diodorus says the Nabateans didn't build houses under punishment by death. Okay. Diodorus, I'm quoting here, it's a quote from Diodorus. It says, Diodorus addresses the wealth of the Nabateans as well as their customs in book 19 of his histories. He says, for the sake of those who do not know, it will be useful to state in some detail the customs of these Arabs. Notice he calls them Arabs, all right? He also calls them here Nabateans, but you're going to see that a source older than his lets you know that they were the Kedarites. We'll get to that. For the sake of those who do not know, it will be useful to state in some detail the customs of these Arabs, by following which it is believed they preserve their liberty. Okay, so here's the customs by which they preserve their liberty. He says, they live in the open air, claiming as native land, a wilderness that has neither rivers nor abundant springs from which it is possible for a hostile army to obtain water. So the man Diodorus is saying these guys live in the desert, man. Right? That's where they live, right? He says, it is their custom neither to plant grain. Said these guys don't plant grain, man. He says, set out any fruit-bearing tree, use wine, nor construct any house. And if anyone is found acting contrary to this, death is his penalty. So this Edomite historian, contrary to what the contemporary or present historians say, this guy says, these guys don't plant trees, these guys don't drink wine, these guys don't build no house, okay? And if anyone does these things, hey, they're killed, man. Their own people kill them, okay? Because according to their law, it's not allowed, all right? Take very careful note of this, right? Because this goes against what contemporary historians tell you about the Nabateans, man. Right? Let me see. What did they say here? One second. Anyway, we'll get to where they say, oh, they actually built Petra. Okay. So my question is, if the history of the Nabateans is conjecture, right, according to James Taylor, and they didn't build houses, and no one knows for sure when Petra was built, how could the Nabateans have built Petra as the historical consensus says, right? Well, the truth is they didn't build the place, right? It was built by ESAU, who lived and reigned as a king there for over 1,000 years. That's the truth of the matter, right? Let's just look at these two receipts real quick, okay? Where these guys say that, the Nabateans built Petra and its monuments, right? So, this guy, Dan Gibson, says, history tells us that the Nabateans were nomads dwelling in tents in the desert. Yet, within a few short years, they built spectacular and awe-inspiring monuments. Okay? That's simply not true, family. These people never did this, all right? And as the study goes on, you're going to see more and more why this is impossible. I have another receipt here, 31. This is the New World Encyclopedia. It says, excavations have demonstrated that it was the ability of the Nabateans to control the water supply that led to the rise of the desert city. So these Arabs built a desert city, according to this New World Encyclopedia, okay? They said, in effect, creating an artificial oasis, all right? So this is the general consensus, right? But it's a damn lie, right? Let's go on proving that. Let's look at the truth about the Nabateans, according to the Most High God, right? Uh, all right, cool. Let's go to Genesis 25 and 13. Let me get that, Brother Sean, Genesis 25. Genesis 25 and 13.
Genesis 25 and 13.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the names of the sons of Ishmael, by their names according to their generations. The firstborn is Ishmael, Nebaga, and Kedar, and Abiel, and Absam.
Yeah,
Masa.
Mibsam. Yeah, and Mibsam. Now let me see if I can pull this up in the interlinear here. Gen 25 interlinear. One second here. 25 and 13. And these were the names of the sons of Ishmael, right? By their names according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael was what? Nabayat. Okay, so this is Na, this is Ba, sorry, Ba, this is Yat. Okay, this is the Y sound and the TH sound, Nabayat. Okay, um, or Nabat. Okay, let's show you that this is the same as the Nabateans. Let's see if they have it here. Brown driver brings proper name of a people. Nabatean. You guys see that? Nabatean. All right. From Nabat. Okay. Nabayat. Okay. The Edomites added this for a vowel sound. That was never there before. So Nabayat, right? This is funny. They translated this as Kedar, Kedar, but this word, right? This is wa, meaning and or then, all right? And this is actually a Q, Kadar. So that's Kadar, which you will see translated as this here, just this part, Kidar, okay? Okay, which is the root word of the Kedarites, which you're going to see as we study is the people that they keep calling Nabateans. It was actually the Kedarites that were being dealt with the whole time. And the Nabateans, as the scripture says, were the friends of Israel, man. It had nothing to do with this concept of a Nabatean kingdom. You understand? Esau straight up invented that in order to get his land back, man. And we'll look at that. Let me see here. Yeah, I just wanted to look at those two. Okay, so this is Nabayat, which is the same as uh Nabatean, and this is Kadar, all right, which is the same as Kedar, all right. You can see it right here, and you'll see it later as well as we study. So the truth about the Nabateans, well, they were the children of Nabayat, man, the firstborn of Ishmael. All right, and let's go to Isaiah 20 and verse 7. Let's get that. Saba, let's get that. Isaiah 20 and verse 7. Saba, you there? If you're speaking, I can't hear you. Why do I have 20 and verse 7 and there's no verse 7 here? Did I write the wrong thing? Hmm. Did 2? Well, wrote something wrong there. No. One sec. Genesis 25:13. Nine. Thirteen. It was 60. Isaiah, how did I write 20? Isaiah 60 and verse 7. Sal, are you there?
Yep.
All right. Uh, give me verse 7 here, please.
All the flocks of Kedar shall be gathered together unto thee. The rams of Nebaioth shall minister unto thee. They shall come up with acceptance on mine altar, and I will glorify the house of my glory.
And I will glorify the house of my glory. Now, this is a little bit different. This is the BSB. One second here. So this is the KJV. All the flocks of Kedar shall be gathered together unto thee, unto who Israel. The rams of Nabayat. Okay. So these are Arabs, man. The Most High is saying, hey, listen, these Arabs, they're gonna minister unto you, man. They're gonna serve you, man. Right? And I will take their sheep and their flocks, and they'll come with acceptance upon my altar, man. And I will glorify the house of my glory. And that's twofold: the house of his glory being Israel, and the house of his glory being the temple. All right. Or rather, the city at that particular time. All right. So, um, right. So, who are the Nabateans? Hey, listen, they're Ishmaelites. Right. At the end of the day, right? They're Ishmaelites according to the scriptures. Okay. You even find some people writing ridiculous things like saying that the Nabateans were Edomites, man. Let me see if I can find that. I should have the receipt here. See if I can find that real quick. One second. Somebody actually wrote that the Nabateans were Edomites, man. Okay, I didn't save it. I didn't save the receipt. It's all good. Okay. Okay, so according to the Most High, they're Ishmaelites. All right. Um, We also learned that, hey, they were nomads who never sow corn, nor plant any fruit tree, nor drink wine, nor build houses. We learned that from Diodorus, all right? That historian, right? And that's a Edomite historian, right? We learned that there were squatters in Petra, right? Between 539 BC, which is the end of Babylonian rule, and 169 BC, which is the beginning of Aretas's rule. All right. Um, it says the Nabateans were nomadic Arabs. Okay, and this is important: nomadic Arabs. All right. What you're gonna learn as we continue to study is that they kept giving these people the name Nabatean. Once they were Arab, oh, Nabateans. That's what they kept doing. But in fact, there was a lot more nuance and detail to who these people were, right? Um, that's akin to, Esau when he went into, Africa, he's like, yeah, yeah, they're Africans. He don't care who is from Ghana, who from Ethiopia. That's a bad example because he did differentiate the Ethiopians. Um, but Ghana, Congo, uh, where else? Uh, um, uh, Give me some other names, man. They're in West Africa. We have Ghana, we have Congo, we have Angola. You know, they're just African, right? Uh, we're black, so we're just African. Now we know, he specifically did it to us for deception, right? For a deeper deception, I should say. But you guys get where I'm going. So it says the Nabateans were what? Nomadic Arabs, man, right? Who invested in Petra's proximity to the incense trade routes by establishing it as a major regional trade hub. Okay, so that's all that happened. Okay, the real Nabateans, all they did was or rather, let me say it like this, just to be cautious. Arabs established Petra um, uh, as a regional trade hub. That's what actually happened in history. But they just kept calling these people Nabateans. Okay, and let's read the receipt here. Have that here. Let's see. Okay, that's not there. Uh, all right. One second. It's about no. One second. One quick second. All right, so this is what I want. For nomadic peoples and later traders, this fault line allowed access from the high desert stretching east to Mesopotamia to the west across the Rift Valley and on to the ancient Mediterranean port and emporium of Gaza. You guys hear that? For nomadic peoples and later traders, the fault line allowed access. Which fault line is talking? It's talking about going through Petra, okay? Or go rather going through. I'll just read from the top here. Petra was ideally. Let me zoom in. Petra was ideally placed where the great south-north route from Arabia to Syria, today the King's Highway in Jordan, crosses a natural fault line running east-west to interlocking ridges. Don't get confused. All they're saying is this. Let me see if I can find Jordan. Maps. Actually, Google Earth, Jordan. Now, this whole area was called Jordan. Okay, this whole area here. And they're talking about Mount Seir and this pass here. When you come down low, you could kind of see, okay, this whole mountain pass here. Okay, with that valley, this is Mount Seir on this side here. Okay, this whole pass here. Those are that's Mount Seir. Okay, and this is the Gulf of Aqaba. That's the Dead Sea up here. This is the Mediterranean Sea here. Okay, you see the border? That's Jordan and Syria. Okay, so this is, sorry, that's Jordan. Syria is up here. Okay, my bad. So this is Jordan, this whole area. So let's go back to, and notice it includes Mount Seir, okay, across this valley here, this mountain here, there's a valley in between. So that's what that receipt is talking about. When it says, Petra was ideally placed where the great south-north route from Arabia to Syria. From Arabia, okay, where they were doing a lot of trade, Saudi Arabia, it says here, but this whole area is considered Arabia. To where? Syria. Okay, remember we looked at the King's Highway that went here, came across here, and went up this way and went all the way over to the side here, right? Past Damascus, right? To the Euphrates River. All right, that's what they're talking about. So, it says, Petra was ideally placed where the great south-north route from Arabia to Syria today, the King's Highway in Jordan, crosses a natural fault line running east-west through interlocking ridges of Nubian sandstone and Archean granite. Wadi Musa flows through that fault and empties into Wadi Araba. Wadi just means a dry riverbed, okay? So this dry riverbed called Musa flows through that fault and it empties into the dry riverbed of the Araba in the Great Rift Valley south of the Dead Sea. Okay, can't remember where the Araba is, but we'll leave that for now. For the nomadic peoples and later traders, this fault line allowed access from the high desert stretching east to Mesopotamia to the west, across the Rift Valley and on to the ancient Mediterranean port and emporium of Gaza. This is the important part, okay? So they were getting access coming from the east in Mesopotamia or Babylon, going to what? Gaza, through this particular place that cut across the land of Edom, that cut across this valley um, here in Edom, this valley here in Edom, okay? They were able to cut across the valley of Edom and get to Gaza, all right? So that's all that's saying. The first trading establishment at Petra may date from as early as the 5th century BC. We know it dates way before that because Esau was there, all right? But traders very likely passed through Petra as a watering place much earlier. You hear that? Now, even as nomads, the Nabateans were traders, and it was trade that made Petra rich. All right, I think this is what I want here. They were squatters in Petra between 539 BC, I should put here, 539 BC, and 169 BC. Okay, they were nomadic Arabs who invested in Petra's proximity to what incense trade routes by establishing it as a major regional trading hub. Okay, so what they do, the first trading establishments at Petra may date from as early as 500 BC, but traders passed through from before, and even as nomads, the Nabateans were traders, or the Arabs were traders, okay? And it was trade that made Petra rich, okay? The same rock city. It was trade that made them rich, just like I told you guys, right?
All right, Dad, I'm gonna go now. Something weird just happened. Something weird happened with my phone. So like, um, I I somehow went out of the meeting, but I got back in, and I just came to tell you that I'm leaving.
No problem. Next time, just shoot me a text, okay, bud?
Okay.
All right, shalom.
All right. Shalom.
It says bitumen, metals, and dyes went to Egypt for mummification. Spices from Arabia, frankincense from Yemen, and silks from India and China were traded. The Nabateans, or rather, you should read the Arabs or the Kedarites, have carved a city of villas, monuments, tombs, temples, and extensive water conservation and hydraulic engineering systems heavily influenced by Egyptian, Greek, and Roman architectural motifs. This is a complete lie, okay? The Arabs didn't carve any of this. This was all carved by the Edomites, okay? But the point is that they were using this place as a trade town, okay? The Nabateans, or the Arabs rather, were traders, and it was trade that made this rock city rich. All right, so that part is true. It says Nabateans established their trading since at least 500 BC in Petra, which we just looked at as well, or rather Arabs, okay, did that. They show up in the historical record in 312 BC having already settled Petra. Okay, little is known about them before 312 BC when they were unsuccessfully attacked by Demetrius the first Polyeuctes, son of Antigonus, in the mountain fortress Petra, south of the Dead Sea. All right, now let me zoom out a bit. Notice they keep talking about the Nabateans. All right, we're looking at what they're saying, and I'm trying to give you the truth concerning these people at the same time. So it says little is known about them before 312 BC, right? When they were unsuccessfully attacked by Demetrius the first Polyeuctes, son of Antigonus, in the mountain fortress Petra, south of the Dead Sea. So there's a couple of things this is saying. This is saying the Nabatean, they're saying that the mountain fortress of Petra, which we look at all the time with the monuments, they're saying it's the mountain fortress of the Nabateans. All right. But we're going to look at these couple receipts that show you that this is totally not true. Okay. So let me see first what I have on Antigonus here. Let's see what I have on Antigonus here. Ah, yes, okay. So this is from Diodorus Siculus. All right, we're gonna read this excerpt, and then you're gonna see the exact same historical account given by somebody else with totally different players. But Antigonus, when he had treated the barbarians as friends for some time and believed that they had been thoroughly deceived and thus had given him his opportunity against themselves, selected from his whole force 4,000 foot soldiers who were lightly armed and well fitted by nature for rapid marching, and more than 4,000 mounted men. He ordered them to carry several days' supply of food that would not require cooking, and after placing his son Demetrius in command, he sent them off during the first watch, ordering them to punish the Arabs in whatever way he could. Right? Demetrius therefore advanced for 3 days through regions with no roads, striving not to be observed by the barbarians. But the lookouts, having seen that a hostile force had entered, informed the NABATAENS by means of prearranged fire signals. The barbarians, having thus learned at once that the Greeks had come, sent their property to the rock, and posted there a garrison that was strong enough, since there was a single artificial approach, and they themselves divided their flocks and drove them into the desert, into one place and some to another. All right. Let's see. Uh, all right. Let's go to the next receipt here, which is here at 36. Okay, Britannica repeats the same thing. Little is known about them before 312 BC, when they were unsuccessfully attacked by Demetrius, king of Macedonia, so on and so forth. And they said in the mountain fortress of Petra, south of the Dead Sea. All right, remember, they were unsuccessfully attacked by Demetrius I Poliorcetes, king of Macedonia, in the mountain fortress of Petra. Okay, so this other historian shows that the mountain fortress is not Petra, but indeed Avdat. All right, let's look at this receipt here in number 37. Do I have this book open already? $283 to $290. One second. Okay. I have that. Oh, yes. That's not what I want. Okay, well, I'll just go directly from the highlight that I have here in Wikipedia, just for the sake of time. Okay, it says during the wars of the Diadochi, Antigonus, in 312 BC, sent his general Athenos to attack the Kedarites and establish control over the frankincense trade, which he initially successfully accomplished by proceeding from Idumea, capturing a position called the Rock on the boundary between the states of Edom and Judah in the Negev, settled by the Kedarites, right? Remember, we just read in um what's that guy's name? Diodorus, that it was the Nabatean. But here, what is it? Diodorus, yeah. Diodorus says, right, these people didn't build houses, etc., etc. Let's see here, 1 second. Yeah, so footnote 35, right, where it says that the Nabateans were unsuccessfully attacked by Demetrius Poliarchus, son of Antigonus. That was written by Diodorus, right here, right? But yet, when you go here, sorry, Diodorus says that they were attacked by the where's the receipt here? Give me a second. Yeah, Diodorus says it was the Nabateans that were attacked. But this other historian lets you know that it was the Kedarites, man. So which one is it? The Kedarites or the Nabateans that were attacked, right? Well, let's read it. It says, during the wars of the Diadochi, Antigonus the first in 312 BC, the same year that they tell you about Antigonus sending his son to attack Nabateans, it says, hey, he sent his general Athenois to attack the Kedarites and establish control over the frankincense trade, which he initially successfully accomplished by proceeding from Idumea, capturing a position called the Rock on the boundary between the former states of Edom and Judah in the Negev, settled by the Kedarites at the site of present-day Avdat, and returning with booty of frankincense, myrrh, and 500 talents of silver, before most of his army was killed by a counterattack by Kedarite warriors equipped with javelins. Okay, now you're going to see that the same account is given and they say that it was the Nabateans. All right, but we're going to get to that. After the failure of Athenosius's expedition, the Kedarites wrote a letter in Aramaic to Antigonus I, which was followed by a period of peace between him and Kedar until he sent his son Demetrius the same year on another military expedition against the Kedarites. Who were able to successfully defend themselves, due to which both sides signed a treaty according to which Demetrius received hostages and retired back to his father's realm. So this account tells you that it was the Kedarites. Okay, now I looked into this person's research, and it's much more thorough, and looks at older what do you call it, sources. right, than the sources that Diodorus used, man, right? So this man has more accurate information than the other historian. And he says that it was the Kidarites. So what's this whole talk about Nabateans when it was the Kidarites that this whole debacle happened with, right? So remember, what did we just read? The man said, um, Britannica says in 312 BC, the Nabateans, okay, were unsuccessfully attacked by Demetrius the first Polyarcetes, king of Macedonia. All right, and he says they were attacked in the mountain fortress of Petra, south of the Dead Sea. Okay, but this is actually not true because when we look at the older receipt says that Antigonus the first, which was followed by a period of peace between him and Kedar, until he sent his son Demetrius the first of Macedon. This is the same Demetrius. It says the same year on another military expedition again. It says another. So that means he had sent one already. And it said he sent them against the Kidarites. Meanwhile, Britannica is telling you Nabateans. This historian with better sources is telling you it was the Kidarites. Okay? And it says who were able to successfully defend themselves, due to which both sides signed a treaty according to which Demetrius received hostages and retired back to his father's realm. All right? And that's exactly what it said happened with the Nabateans in Diodorus. Let's see if I can pull that up. But Antigonus, when he had treated the barbarians as friends for some time and believed that they had been thoroughly deceived and thus had given him his opportunity against themselves, selected from his whole force 4,000 soldiers, etc., etc. He ordered them to carry several days' supply of food. All right. After placing his son Demetrius in command, he sent them off during the first watch, ordering him to punish who? The Arabs. Notice in 96:1 here, it says it's talking about the Nabateans, but down here he calls them the Arabs. So you see there's a lot of confusion around Kidarites, Arabs, Nabateans. And the contemporary historians just lazily go with Nabateans and try to make everybody believe, hey, the Nabateans built Petra, the Nabateans had a kingdom, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? When they were just dealing with Arabs. They were dealing with different Arabs, right? And it appears from the historical record, man, sometimes they didn't even know who's who, you know? Reading on, it says, Demetrius therefore advanced for 3 days through regions with no roads, right? Etc. Having seen that a hostile force had entered, but the lookouts, having seen that a hostile force had entered, informed the Nabateans. So he go back to calling them Nabateans again. So he's using Arabs and Nabateans interchangeably. Okay. It says by means of a prearranged fire signals, the barbarians, having thus learned at once that the Greeks had come, sent their property to the rock, the same rock that we were talking about a second ago, right? That was strong enough there. That was strong enough since there was a single artificial approach, and they themselves divided their flocks and drove them into the desert, some into a place and some into another. Here's the important part to show you that it's the same account. Demetrius, on arriving at the rock and finding that the flocks had been removed, made repeated assaults upon the stronghold. Those within resisted stoutly and easily had the upper hand because of the height of the place. And so on this day, after he had continued the struggle until evening, he recalled his soldiers by a trumpet, right? So he quit. He quit the assault, right? Now watch this. The next day, however, when he had advanced upon the rock, one of the barbarians, so that's three names they call them already, Arab, Nabatean, barbarian. One of the barbarians called him saying, King Demetrius, who was attacking King Demetrius. With what desire or under what compulsion do you war against us who live in the desert, in a land that has neither water nor grain, nor wine, nor any other thing? Whatever of those that pertain to the necessities of life among you. For we, since we are in no way willing to be slaves, have all taken refuge in a land that lacks all the things that are valued among other people, and have chosen to live a life in the desert, and one altogether like that of wild beasts, harming you not at all. We therefore beg both you and your father, which is Antigonus, to do us no injury, but after receiving gifts from us, to do what? Withdraw your army, and henceforth regard the Nabateans as your friends, right? For neither can you, if you wish, remain here many days, since you lack water and all other necessary supplies, nor can you force us to live a different life. But you will have a few captives, disheartened slaves, who would not consent to live among strange ways. When words such as these had been spoken, Demetrius withdrew his army and ordered the Arabs to send an embassy about these matters. All right. They sent their oldest men, who repeated arguments similar to those previously uttered, arguments similar to those previously uttered, persuaded him to receive gifts of the most precious of their products and to make terms with them. Here's the proof now. Remember, we read in the other account, they received hostages of them in order to stop attacking the Arabs. Okay, Demetrius received hostages and gifts that had been agreed upon and departed from the rock. After marching for 300 steeds, he camped near the Dead Sea. All right. So, what do you call it? The so-called Nabateans, right, are being conflated with the Kedarites, are being conflated with Arabs, right, by this particular historian Diodorus. Okay, but when we look at more credible or older sources, we see that these people were the Kedarites, because it's the same account. One says the Kedarites, one says that it was the Nabateans. So which one you got to go with? You got to go with the older, unbiased one, which would be the one around the Kedarites. All right, and I'm gonna give you guys my notes so you can compare the findings of the particular scholar that wrote that history, calling the people Kedarites, and you can compare it to the account from Diodorus Siculus. All right, so the truth about the Nabateans: they were children of Nabayath, they were nomads, and they didn't build anything or grow anything. They were squatters in Petra, all right, between 539 BC and 139 BC, all right, using Petra as a trading hub. Okay, they were nomadic Arabs using Petra as nothing more than a trading hub, family. All right. They showed up in the historical record in 312 BC, all right? under the name Nabatean by Diodorus, but by others under the name Kedarites. All right. And then number 5, they were desert dwellers. All right. Nabatean, this first exhibit here is it says Nabatean member, a Nabatean, a member of a people of ancient Arabia whose settlements lay in the borderlands between Syria and Arabia from the Euphrates River to the Red Sea. Okay, as we read before. But what I want to highlight here is that they're simply a member of a people of ancient Arabia, man, right? A member of a people of ancient Arabia, right? You can literally read Nabatean as Arab because they don't even know who they're dealing with. You understand? Sometimes they're calling them Nabateans, sometimes they're calling them Arab. They don't even know who they're dealing with. One historian is calling them Kedarites, man. You know, while the consensus is, oh, they were Nabateans, right? And what we're gonna see as we study is that their leaders were Edomites. So who were these people really? Well, right? Well, the scripture is going to show us, right? Well, from the scriptures, we already know the Nabateans are the Nabayat. The Nabayat are Ishmaelites, and we're going to see that the Nabayat specifically were friends of the Israelites, okay? So when you start to hear accounts of the Nabayat or the Nabateans, joining the Edomites to fight against the Israelites, those are definitely not Nabateans. You understand? So let's go on. Number 5, they were desert dwellers. Nabatean, member of a people of ancient Arabia, whose settlements lay in the borderlands between Syria and Arabia, from the Euphrates River to the Dead Sea. All right, so let's look at Nabatea during 250 BC to 106 AD. All right, so this is the map. Okay, this is what they considered Nabatea. But really, you got to keep in your mind that these are simply Arab trade routes. Okay, these are simply Arab trade routes. Okay, that they are calling Nabatean trade routes. Okay, and we've already proved that some of these trade routes and some of these places actually belong to Kedarites, not Nabateans, right? So to be safe as you're doing your scholarship, just go with Arab. They were Arab people, right? And if you want to make any specific statements, you're better off going with Kedarites because the Nabateans were actually friends of the Judites or the Israelites. So here's their trade routes from Arabia, all right, all the way up to Petra, Bosra, Damascus, Myrna, right, in Syria, which we looked at a second ago, and Gaza. These are the places important for our study. Gaza, Petra, Allah, or does that say Allah? I think it says Allah. Perhaps this is loose comb on the coast here of what is that? I want to say the Persian Gulf, but I'm not sure. Bostra, Damascus. These are the places that are important for our study. Okay, so this is what things looked like for them up to 106 AD. Okay, it says at this point in history, the Roman Empire acquired the Nabatean Empire. It appears that the Nabateans sold their empire to the Romans in order to gain Roman citizenship for their nobility and also to gain monopoly over the East Asian trade. This is very important, family. It says at this point in history, the Roman Empire acquired the Nabatean Empire. Okay? It appears that the Nabatean sold their empire to the Romans in order to gain Roman citizenship for their nobility and also to gain monopoly over what? The East Asia trade. All right. So this transaction was all about what? Money. This transaction was all about bringing in more money, right? And who we know whose bottom line is always the dollar, right? Think about that. All right, let's keep going. This is Nabatea during the Roman period, 146 BC to 324 AD. Okay, this is so-called Nabatea. All right, you have included Elusa, Obada, Damascus up here. All right, Coel, Syria. This is very important. All right, the whole land of Edom, the whole land of Edom is in there as well. All right, and then of course the different port cities throughout Arabia. Okay. Remember, these guys are desert dwellers, right? Are they really building monuments in these cities? Or are these just port cities on a trade route? Well, the archaeology is showing that they are port cities or emporiums on a trade route. Here's the Romans, it says the map of the Roman Empire in 125 during the reign of Emperor Hadrian. Okay. Okay, so this is what the Edomites are seeing these places are. Notice where they're showing Nabatea. Notice where they're showing Nabatea. All right, this is outside of where they say the Nabateans are from. They're calling this place Arabia Petra. And it is reported that in about 106, again, it was sold this area was sold to the Romans, right? So, and renamed Arabia Petra. So out here, we have Arabia Nabatea, okay, and Arabia Petra down here. All right, moving on. So, who are the Nabateans? Lastly, they were friends of Jonathan and of the Maccabees. All right. Akira.
She had to leave, it seems. She sent a message in the chat saying she had to leave.
Okay, no problem. First Maccabees 9:35. Go ahead.
This is First Maccabees chapter 9 and verse number 35. Now Jonathan had sent his brother John, a captain of the people, to pray his friends, the Nabathites, that they might leave with them their carriage, which was much.
Go ahead.
But the children of Jambri, came out of Medaba and took John and all that he had and went their way with it.
And when did we read it? Go ahead.
After
No, that's all we want. That's all we want. So the point here is Jonathan sent his brother John, captain of the people, to pray, to ask his friends, the Nabathites, to leave his things with them. Right? So they were friends, man. The Nabateans and the Israelites were friends. Right? Now, how do we know that this Nabathites is the Nabateans? I have the receipt here from Josephus. Let's see if it highlights it. One second. 13:1, 2, 13:1, 2. Says here, when Bacchides heard this and was afraid that Jonathan might be very troublesome to the king and the Macedonians, as Judas had been before, he sought to slay him by treachery. But this intention of his was not unknown to Jonathan nor to his brother Simon. And when these two were apprised of it, they took all their companions and hastily fled into the wilderness, which was near to the city. And when they were come to the lake called Asphar, they abode there. But when Bacchides heard that they had shifted their quarters and were in that place, he marched against them with all his forces, and pitching his camp beyond the Jordan, recruited his army. And when Jonathan knew that Bacchides was coming upon him, he sent his brother John, who was also called Gaddis, to the Nabatean Arabs, that he might deposit his baggage with them until the battle with Bacchides should be over. Right? So, Brother Chris, who were these Nabathites that the Maccabeans send their baggage to, man, to hold?
Sorry, say that again.
It says the Nabateans sent their Jonathan sent for his brother to ask the Nabatean Arabs to hold his baggage, man. Right? And it says for they were the Jews' friends. Who are these Nabateans here?
They're Ishmaelites.
Yeah. Well, not only that, I just wanted to show when we read in Maccabees, First Maccabees 9:35, what does it call them?
Nabathites.
Yeah. And then in Josephus, he calls them the Nabatean Arabs. You see that? Right? So that's proof there that that's talking about the same people. And so that's proof that the Nabatean Arabs were friends of the Jews, man. You know, so they would not have been fighting against the Jews, as some accounts will purport, right? This happened in 160 BC. Got the receipt on that. We're not going to go there for the sake of time. So, the source of the confusion, right? Because we're hearing Nabateans, we're hearing Arabs, we're hearing Kidarites. What else? We're hearing Nabateans, we're hearing Arabs, we're hearing Kidarites, we're hearing barbarians, man. So, what is the source of the confusion? Well, the source of the confusion is the Nabatean kingdom. The Nabatean kingdom. This is a concept, a construct, right? If you ask people about the Nabatean kingdom in 160 BC, 168 BC, 312 BC, they're going to look at you like, what are you talking about? I know there's some Arabs over there that are merchants and they go from place to place. They got a couple emporiums, couple places you can go and shop. But I know what you're talking about, right? And that's the point that I'm trying to make, right? The source of all the confusion is this concept of the Nabatean kingdom. And you're going to see what the Nabatean kingdom is, right? It says, the source of confusion about the Nabateans is the invention of the Nabatean kingdom. The real Nabateans never had a kingdom, okay? They were the descendants of Nabayath. They were nomads and merchants who traded at emporiums in Edom, right? In Jordan, including Damascus, and in Judea, including Gaza, a major port city, all right? What Esau called the Nabatean kingdom was really an Edomite kingdom made up of Edomite-controlled Arabian merchant emporiums. That's all it was. Esau saw that these Arabs had all these various emporiums, okay? He said, you know what? I'm going to rule over these emporiums and I'm going to call that a kingdom, right? And then I'm going to rule that kingdom. And by that, I'm going to get my mountain back, okay? He established this kingdom as a power grab to regain control over his ancient lucrative trade routes and the land of Edom. All right, so let's prove that. That's a big claim, right? That's a different claim from what the historians will tell you. Well, let's prove it, right? Let's look at in 167 to 143 BC. The writers of the book of Maccabees wrote of a tyrant of the Arabs at that time, okay, called Aretas, who was ruling the Arabians, okay? Notice he didn't say they were ruling the Nabathites, their friends. He said they were ruling the Arabs, all right? All right, all right. In the English translations of the scriptures, the word tyrannos is translated as king. Again, I'll read that. In the English translations of the scriptures, all right, of the Apocrypha, the word tyrannos is translated as king instead of tyrant. Why? Well, it's to obscure the fact that Aretas was not an Arab, but an Edomite ruling the Arabs. Okay? Let's examine that. So even though our ancestors wrote tyrannos to let it be known that this man was a tyrant of the Arabs, and if you look into the term tyrant, historically that was a leader that came to power illegitimately, right? Our ancestors knew this. That's why they wrote this man is the tyrant of the Arabs, right? But they translated it as king, right? To obscure the truth, right? Let's look at it. Second Maccabees 5:8. Right? Second Maccabees 5:8. I hope I have the interlinear of that there. Do I have that? Yes, perfect. All right. Second Maccabees 5:8. Great. All right, read that for me, please, Brother Chris.
This is Second Maccabees chapter 5 and verse number 8. In the end, therefore, he had an unhappy return, being accused before Aretas, the king of the Arabians, fleeing from city to city, pursued of all men, hated as a forsaker of the laws, and being had in abomination as an open enemy of his country and countrymen, he was cast out into Egypt.
All right, so this was happening to Jason, okay, who was a treacherous Hebrew that was working against and killing his own people for power. All right, so it says, you know, he things didn't work out well for him, man. Right? He was accused before Aretas, king of the Arabians, it said here, and he was fleeing from city to city, right? And at the end of the day, they cast him out into Egypt, and he tried to flee to the Lacedaemonians or the Spartans, who were also our people, for safety. But anyway, things didn't work out for the brother. But the point is, it says he came before Aretas, the king of the Arabians. Now, this is being written in about 168 BC. This is what the account is of. King of the Arabians. But when you look at the interlinear with the Greek, it doesn't say king. The word for king is basileus. Okay? It says tyrannos, man. All right? There's a marked difference between the two. Here, if we read the same verse, extremity this is gonna be hard to read, all right? But I'm just gonna try it anyway. Actually, I'm just gonna go straight to where it says catastrophe attained in die to what Aratus? The Arab, what does that say here? The Arab what? Oh my gosh. Oh man, I missed what the Brother Sean, can you see that? It says the Arab what? This is supposed to be a B. Arabon. Okay, that's what that is. Arabon. So don't mind this P here. That's probably a typo. Aratus, the Arab what? Can you see that, brother Sean? It says he's the Arab what?
Tyrant.
Tyrant, man. The word is actually tyrannos. This is T Y R A double N O N. So tyrannon. All right. And the singular noun, what does that say? Accusative singular masculine, ASM, accusative singular masculine. Tyrant, man. Tyrannos. So Aretas was the tyrant of the Arabs, not the king, man. Right? Reading on, it says, city from city, flee, go after, under, and so on and so forth. It's the same verse. Verse 8 in uh, 2nd Maccabees chapter 5. Okay? 2nd Maccabees up here, chapter 5, verse 8. Okay? The man was the tyrant of the Arabs. Okay? But in English, in our regular Bibles, man, they translated it as king. Right? Why is this important? Well, a tyrant is an illegitimate ruler, right? And the Maccabees ensured that they wrote that Aretas was a tyrant and not a king, right? They were ensuring that we knew Aretas was an illegitimate ruler of the Arabs, man, right? Let me see if I can pull up this tyrant definition. They have somewhat of the idea here, oppressor, authoritarian, but there's an old meaning that I want to bring out. If I can find it. Original Greek would not apply to old hereditary sovereignties and despot kings, but it was used for usurpers, even when popular, moderate, and just. Okay? So once you're a usurper, you're considered a tyrant, man. Right? So Aretas was a usurper, man. Not a king. Not a legitimate ruler, but a usurper. Let's go to 2nd Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 10. Right? I think I want that here. 2nd Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 10. Chapter 1, verse 10. Let me get that, Brother Sean.
Says verse 10, in the 100th fourscore 8th year, the people that were at Jerusalem and in Judah and the council of Judas sent greetings and health unto Aristobulus.
Aristobulus.
Okay, King.
It's a tongue twister. It's a tongue
Yeah,
twister.
definitely. King Ptolemy, master who was of the stock of the anointed priests, and to the Jews that were in Egypt.
Right. So the brother said, hey, they send greetings and health unto Aristobulus, King Ptolemaeus, his master, man. Right? Who was of the stock of the anointed priests, right? And to the Jews that were in Egypt. All right. Let's read that same scripture with the in the interlinear, and we'll see he used a total different word to describe Ptolemaeus, man. Right? Um, in the Hierosilma and the Judea, that's Judea, and the Senate, and Judas, Aristobulus, teacher or master of Ptolemaeus. Okay, see the word here is Basilius, man. The monarch, the king. That's what um, the word king is in Greek, Basilius, right? It's not Tyrannos, right? Right? There's a marked difference. So the Maccabean writers ensure that they use the word Basilius for king because there's a difference between the two, or they wanted to acknowledge it, right? Let's go to Second Maccabees 4, and we'll read 23 to 25. Right? We're gonna be a little longer than normal today, family. I want to get through this, uh, and we're doing good. We're making good time and everything, so I think we'll get through it. Brother Chris, can you give me 23 to 25 on this? If you're talking, I can't hear you.
What where are we reading from? What chapter?
Second Maccabees chapter 4.
Okay. 1 second. And verse 23 and 24, you said?
23, I think I want until 25.
Okay, this is the book of Second Maccabees, chapter 4, and verse number 23. 3 years after Jason sent Menelaus, the aforesaid Simon's brother, to bear the money unto the king, and to put him in mind of certain necessary matters. But he being brought to the presence of the king, when he had magnified him for the glorious appearance of his power, got the priesthood to himself, offering more than Jason by 300 talents of silver. So he came with the king's mandate, bringing nothing worthy the high priesthood, but having the fury of a cruel tyrant and the rage of a savage beast. Then Jason, who had undermined his own brother, being undermined by another, was compelled to flee into the country of the Amorites.
Ammonites, that's all I want there, right?
Ammonites. Sorry,
Yeah.
Ammonites. Yeah.
So I just want 25 where it says, hey, listen, this guy came with the fury of a cruel tyrant. So we see the word again. This is Second Maccabees 4, and we're looking for verse 25. Right here, Tyrannos again, right? So this is deliberate, right? The Maccabees were not confused as to what they were writing, man. right? It said, hey, listen, this man came with the rage of a cruel tyrant, man, right? Proving that when they said Aretas was a tyrant, it wasn't a mistake, right? They didn't just write tyrant and they wanted to say king. No, they wanted to say he was a tyrant, right? So that we would know that he's a tyrant, right? So that brings us to the question, who is Aretas, the tyrant that the Maccabean writers want us to know about? Chris, mute your line, bro.
Sorry.
Right? It's all good. Who is Aretas, the tyrant that the Maccabean writers want us to know about? Really, that the Most High want us to know about, because he inspired them to write that book, right? Well, let's look at some clues to find out, right? First, we can look at the Nabatean king list, okay? This is the list of Nabatean kings, all right? This is, it says Aretas the first, Aretas the second, Obadas, Aretas the third, Rabel the first, Aretas the third, Obadas the second, Malichus the first, Obadas the third, Aretas the fourth, Huldo, Sagilat, Malichus the second, and so on and so forth, okay? Starting in 169 BC. So that's when they have their first king, all right? That first king is actually mentioned in the book of Maccabees. That's where scholars point to as a resource showing that there was a king named Aretas around at that time, right? Not knowing that the brothers were saying there's a tyrant of the Arabs at that time, right? Somebody who usurped leadership over the Arabs, man, at that particular time, right? This first king, Aretas the first, king of the Nabateans, has very scarce information on him, suspiciously, right? You simply can't find the info. You understand? I encourage you to look, right? Let's look at some artifacts that show the Nabatean kings. All right, so let's look at Aretas the fourth, for example. All right, this is Aretas the fourth. Oh, I didn't even show you guys some of the kings from the list here. Okay, so Aretas the first, they got nothing on this guy. Aretas the second, they got nothing here. This is Obadas the first. That's an Arab family. Think about that. Take a good look at this. This is supposedly an Arab king. Eagle on one side of the coin, Greek-looking individual on the other side. But this is supposed to be an Arab. Let's look at Aretas the third. Do we have anything on Aretas? No. What about Malichus? Yes. Eagle on one side of the coin, man that look like a Edomite on the other side of the coin. Malichus the first, king of the Arabs, okay? Aretas the fourth. This is the guy who they say the mausoleum at Petra is for. Okay, the big stone sculpted structure that is the same facade as the Federal Reserve Bank, same facade as the White House, and so many other official government buildings. This is the guy, right, that they built that for and carved it in stone in Petra, the original land of the Edomites. But that's just a coincidence, right? You can just skip that as a writer and tell everybody that these people were Nabateans and that they created Greek-style coins because they became Greeks, man. These same people amongst which it's supposed to be illegal and punishable by death for them to settle down and build houses. They carved Greek monuments out of stone. Who do they expect to believe this, man? That's a so-called Arab? We got receipts, man. Right? That's just the archaeological finds that show you who these people are. We also have written receipts, man, that show you that these men took over rulership of the Arab merchant caravan network, man. Called it a kingdom and took Mount Seir back from them by that means. They tried war, but it didn't work, right? And the Arabs were not interested in fighting. They were interested in doing business, right? So when it was a stalemate or they beat them, they sent them money and letters saying, yo, stop the war thing. Let's make money. Which we'll see. Did I show Aratus the fourth? I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah. Okay. So let me just prove that. So this is supposedly Aratus the fourth, the Arab. Okay, with his wife. Okay, Aratus the fourth and Shakilat the second. Right. Right. This is what I'm talking about. All right. This here they say that it's the possible tomb of Aratus the fourth, which we just looked at, right? And I believe it is his tomb, right? 'Cause all I'm seeing is bare Edomites on the front here, right? And you know, a facade that you know, the Edomite would keep using up to today, man, to identify uh his kingdom. Let's look at some Nabatean coins, right? Okay, I brought that one out. This is Obadas. Remember, Obadas was one of the kings. Obadas the second, right? 60 BC, right? Silver drachm of Obadas the second, man, with Hagaru. Arab? Arab man. No beard on his face, looking like a damn Greek man. And his wife. Let's look at a couple more coins. This is interesting because this is from the Hagarites, or called or Kagarites, or Kagarites, the children of Hagar, Arabs. Do you guys see a difference between these coins and the coins we've been looking at? I'm sure you do, right? That's a total different motif. This is from Saudi Arabia, 250 BC to 200 BC. There's another ancient Arabian coin, totally different than when we start looking at Malachus II and Shakilat, right? Can't really see that too good, but hopefully you get the point. Obadas II, another coin of Obadas II, right? Look at that Arab right there, doing Arab things, right? With his Edomite eagle, living the life, just want to be an Edomite, right? How come Arabs just want to be Edomites in the year, in the 200s BC, but today you couldn't pay them to be Edomites, man. They do business, but they ain't friends. Edom tried to bring demonocracy to their land. They said no. But somehow in 200 BC, well, around the 200s, in the second century BC, they're minting Edomite coins. It doesn't add up. And it doesn't add up because it's simply not true. Obadiah's the second. Obadiah's the third. Right? Right? This one has a beard with his reef. And I believe this is his wife. Let's see. Laurel, head of male deity. Oh, so it's a male deity. Probably Zeus. Resting on a thunderbolt. Zeus. So that's not even one of them. That's Zeus. Right? And on the right, it's Obadiah's the third. Right? I could do this all day. I'm pretty sure you get the picture. Right? Are these the likenesses of Arabs, or are these the likenesses of Edomites, man? Right? This is the stuff you gotta ask yourself. Now here's the killer. Where oh man, they gotta take this video down, man, when I post this thing on YouTube. Okay, once they get to this part, they have to take this down because there's no denying the receipts I'm about to show you guys right now. Right? Let's see Edomites that were governors of the Arabians. Receipts for Edomites that were governors of the Arabians. And you guys will see, I'm not crazy. I haven't lost my mind and I'm not going off. These Edomites took over the network that the Arabs had, man. Called it a kingdom so they can take back Mount Seir. They took back Mount Seir, built all those monuments and Roman amphitheaters and turned it up loud, right? In a very short time. The historians are right about that. They turned that place all the way loud in a very short time. But God destroyed it. He sent an earthquake and mashed it up. He sent actually 2 earthquakes and mashed it up. Killed the economy, sent the trade routes somewhere else, and destroyed that place. Because if God say you're gonna mash it up, and you say you're gonna build it back, it's gonna end up mash up. Here's the receipts. Herod. Let's watch Herod. The same Herod that I believe is the same Herod that tried to kill Yahweh Shai. He became governor of the Arabians. All right, let's have a look at the receipt. This is from Josephus Antiquities. All the Edomites love this guy. Love this historian. Swear by him. Right? And look what he wrote. In his book Antiquities, chapter 5, in a book, what's that, 10, 15, book 15, chapter 5, it says, how Herod made war with the king of Arabia, and after they had fought many battles at length, conquered him, and was chosen by the Arabs to be governor of that nation, as also concerning a great earthquake. So we're not going to read all of this. You can read that on your own time. But it says Herod conquered the king of Arabia and was chosen by the Arabs to be the governor of that nation. Were there Edomites governing the Arabs? Hell yeah. Was Aretas one of them? Hell yeah. And all those other Edomites I showed you. I got more receipts. Hold up. Let's look at Herod, the Edomite, and his family being called Arabs, right? Now, do we want to look at the receipts that prove that Herod was a Edomite? You guys want to see that? Got 2 receipts on that. You guys want to see the receipts outside the scripts that show that Herod was a Edomite? Or are you just gonna check that out on your own?
I've seen it before, but just show it for everybody to see, since it's, you might get people who've never seen it before watching it.
No problem. Okay, so I got it even right here. It says, Hyrcanus took also Dora and Marissa, cities of Idumea, and subdued all the Idumeans, okay, and permitted them to stay in that country if they would circumcise their genitals. So just so you know, Hyrcanus is one of the last monarchs of the kingdom that the Maccabees established, right? When the Greeks started oppressing us after Alexander conquered the world, and the Maccabees stood up against them. After Simon Tassi died, I'm pretty sure Hyrcanus was his son. Let me just check. Simon Tassi's son. John Hyrcanus. So your father is a great man, okay? Simon Tassi, okay, last fighter, against the damn Edomites for our people. And you go and do this, bro. The man, it says, subdued all the Idumeans. Okay, that's what it should be, all right? I copied it from the book, so it doesn't read it quite well sometimes, okay? He subdued all the Edomites, but look what he did. He permitted them to stay in the country if they would circumcise their genitals, man, right? And make use of the laws of the Jews, okay? Do you guys know what happened to John Hyrcanus? How his life ended? Herod killed him, man. Herod killed him. Herod killed his sister. Herod killed all the Hebrews that were left to be a part of the royal family. Herod killed them all so that he could be king. Guess where Herod came from? Idumea. Herod is one of the Edomites that Hyrcanus spared, a man named Antipater the First. Herod is that man's son. So you spare the Edomites, and one of the Edomites' son come and kill your whole family, bro. And people want to talk about saving Edomites, man. This is why God said, kill all the Amalekites. He know any chance they get, they're going to kill you Hebrews. That's why they burn the temple, the first and the second. That's why they take us in slavery. That's why their foot is on our neck today. That's why they killed Hyrcanus and all his people and took the leadership of Israel, man. Hyrcanus did one of the most stupid things I've ever seen done in my life in the nation of Israel. I don't know what the hell was wrong with this guy. Why would you spare these Edomites, bro, and try and convert them? After he converted them, that's how they were able to get into the priesthood, man. Because he has them there as converts, like they're just any regular people, right? Gives his sister to marry an Edomite, man. And then the Edomite kills them all and takes the nation. If that's not a lesson for Israel, I don't know what is, man. All right. Now that wasn't the point, but this really upset me when I read it, and I really had to share that with you guys, you know, because that's just absolute madness. And this proves you cannot save these people. Didn't God say don't trust your enemy, man? Didn't God say do not put this man by you, because even though he go crouching, he's looking to take your position, man. One second. This is Sirach 12. Sirach 12, from verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, right? And Deuteronomy 28, 68 tells you your enemies are the ones that brought you across the ocean in ships and sold you as male and female slaves as soon as you got off the boat. The Most High said, never trust your enemy, for like iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. The man is wicked. Don't trust him. The Most High say, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. So what happened? The Idumeans humble themselves before Hyrcanus. He said, okay, just circumcise yourself and keep the laws and you're good. He wasn't he wasn't following the scripture, man. Take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou had wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not altogether been wiped away. If you watch the man, you're gonna know this man is wicked, and it's only a matter of time before his wickedness come out, man. You're gonna see clear. That's what the Most High is saying. Now watch 12. Set him not by thee. Don't put him by you, man. Lest not if, when he has overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith, man. I don't know what kind of high priest this guy Hyrcanus was, but he wasn't reading his Bible. And if he was reading his Bible, he sure wasn't obeying the word. Because this man saved the Idumeans, man. And then put the Idumean by him. Gave his sister as a wife. And that's how Herod the Great rose and freaking killed everyone and got power in Israel, man. Through this guy and his stupidness. Anyway, and it says that they were so desirous of, back to the point, right? Herod and his Edomite family were, oh no, let's look at the receipts of proving Herod is an Edomite, and then we'll go on. So let me see. Hyrcanus took also Dora and Marissa, cities of Idumea, and subdued all the Idumeans, and permitted them to stay in that country if they would circumcise their genitals, and make use of the laws of the Jews. And they were so desirous of living in the country of their forefathers, right? Edom, that they submitted to the use of circumcision and of the rest of the Jewish ways of living. At which time, therefore, this befell them, that they were hereafter no other than Jews. Okay? And you're going to learn that Josephus considered them Jews. Josephus was a sellout as well, right? Either a sellout, an idiot, or both. Because he said these Edomites were Jews. But one of the, I think John Hyrcanus' brother said, yo, you're only a half Jew, bro. He said that to Herod. He hated Herod. And he told Herod, yo, you're only a half Jew, bro. You're a convert. And we're going to read that account right now, if I remember correctly. This should be it. 46. This account of the Idumeans admitting circumcision and the entire Jewish law from this time or from the days of Hyrcanus is continued by their entire history afterward, right? Right. See Antiquity. So these are the books in which Josephus um, repeats that the Edomites accepted circumcision and the whole law. All right. Now, reading on, it says, this in something opinion of in the opinion of Josephus, made them proselytes of justice. You see that? So, because the Edomites converted, Josephus considered them proselytes of justice, all right? Or entire Jews, okay? As here and elsewhere, here and elsewhere, as here and elsewhere. Okay, good. So this is just backing up what I just said. Josephus considered them to be Jews because they circumcised their flesh and they kept the law. So that man's an idiot or a sellout or both. It says, however, Antigonus, this was another son of Simon, if I remember correctly. Let's just double check. Antigonus, son of Simon. No, it was son of Hyrcanus, son of John Hyrcanus. All right. Okay, so his father was a fool, but this brother John Hyrcanus' son Antigonus, man, he hated Herod, man. So this man knew the word, and he lived by it. Right? It says, however, Antigonus, the enemy of Herod, though Herod would derive from such a proselyte of justice for several generations. Which proselyte of justice? He was Idumean, man. Do you guys catch that? Do you guys see that? That's what that's saying. Because the man he was a Edomite, but because he converted, Josephus is calling him a proselyte of justice. And this brother is saying, though Antigonus, the enemy of Herod, however, Antigonus, the enemy of Herod, though Herod would derived from such a proselyte of justice for several generations, right, will allow him no more than a, this says whole fair, but the book actually says half, okay? He didn't allow him no more than a half Jew, man. And you can find that in chapter 14, chapter 15, section 2, okay? But still take out of view Purdue at the year 129 the words of Ammonius, a grammarian, which fully confirms this account of the Idumeans in Josephus. The Jews say he are such by nature. The Jews say he, so Josephus says, account of the Idumeans in Josephus. The Jews say he says he are such by nature, and from the beginning, whilst the Idumeans were not Jews from the beginning. Okay, so Josephus admits they're converts. but Phoenicians and Syrians, okay? All right, and that's just by nationality. But being afterwards subdued by the Jews and compelled to be circumcised and to unite into one nation and be subject to the same laws, they were called Jews, man. See that? So Hyrcanus really did us a terrible disservice, man. You know, by leaving these Edomites alive, man. Right? However, his son said, hey, yo, you guys only have Jews, man. You guys are converts. Get out of here. You know, and all praises for that, brother. So remember, the point again, governors of the Arabians, all right? We already showed Herod became a governor of the Arabian, all right? That was just a side point on Herod. Now let's show Herod and his Edomite family being called Arabians, okay? So it says, we see a circle of people calling themselves Arabs, to which Herod's family, as well as Sileus, belonged, man. They're linked to the ancient capital in the Negev, but also to the Nabatean king, Malchus. Here's the receipt. Um, Here's the receipt. This is from the Arabs in antiquity, their history from the Assyrians to the Umayyads. Okay. The brother says here on page 375. All this explains why Herod talked about Arabs and not Nabateans in his memoirs. The Arabs were his close relatives. And he turned to them, not to the Nabateans, when he was in dire straits. This also explains the position of Sileus. Now, when it says the Arabs were his relatives, his mom was Nabatean, okay? His mom was an Arab, okay? So, and you see that on previous pages. This man called Ho-Arabs was coveted as husband by none less than Salome, Herod's sister. We see a circle of people calling themselves Arabs, man, to which Herod's family as well as Sileus belonged. Herod's family belonged to a group of people calling themselves Arabs. Herod was an Edomite, but also to the Nabatean king. Okay, as well as well as Sileus belong linked to the ancient capital in Negev. Okay, so this family was linked to the ancient capital of the Nabateans in Negev, but also to the Nabatean king named Malchus. Malchus was Herod's family member. Now we know why when you look at Malchus, one second here on this king list, I think he's here. Now we know when we look at Malchus, why Malchus appears to be an Edomite. It's because he is an Edomite. Right there in ink, pen to paper. These guys were calling themselves Arabs, but they were Edomites. All praise to the Most High. Now let's look at Malchus. So first thing to find out about this guy Malchus, Malchus is the same as Malchus, okay? Same person. Malichus or Malchus the first, also called Malchus, Maliku, was what they say, a king of Nabatea, which would mean a king of Arabia, which would mean the king of the Arabs. You see what they do there? And if you don't do your research, you're gonna sit here and say, yeah, Malchus was an Arab man. They just took on Greek customs. Hogwash. These guys were Edomites, calling themselves Arabs. Malichus was a possible cousin of Herod the Great. He was Herod the Great cousin, right? Malichus is Malchus, okay? He's Herod's cousin. Am I gonna get the thing here? Am I gonna get the receipt here? Man, let's see. Let's see. Let's see. One second. Can I search this book at all? Limited preview. Oh, there we go. One second. Herod, son of Cleopatra's former ally Antipatros of Ashkelon, that's his father. Herod had not yet earned the title the Great, and this was long before he became entangled in the Christian nativity. So you see that it is the same Herod. Where is it? Give me a second here. Jeez. Give me a second. Yeah, I'm gonna drop that one for now. I have another witness. This is from Cleopatra, a biography, Women in Antiquity. It says, given his own later history, these were unusual charges for Herod to make, but they were an acceptable interpretation of events of the early 30s BC, as he saw them when Cleopatra acquired vast areas of his territory almost as soon as he obtained them himself. Herod's own torturous relationship with his cousin, the Nabatean king Malchus was also entangled into the matter of Cleopatra, since Herod felt again, not unreasonably, that the queen was playing the two kings against each other. Okay, so Malchus was the man cousin. Okay, Malchus called ruler of the Arabians and ruler of the Nabateans in the same sentence. All right, let's have a look here. Timely aid from the chiefs of Arabia. This is from which book is this? Near East Royalty and Rome, 100 to 30 BC. Timely aid from the chiefs of Arabia, persuaded by Antipater of Judea. In part, this consisted of cavalry from Malchus, king of the Nabateans. All right, Malichus. See here, they say Malchus in this sentence and Malichus here. Malichus had an interest in Roman activities in the East, but no obligations beyond those dictated by prudence. Antipater persuaded the Arabs, being their guest friend when Caesar needed this assistance. Okay, he persuaded who? The Arabs, but he's dealing with Malichus, king of the Nabateans. The victory over Nabateans by Gabinius in 56 or 55, whatever its scale, had not been an act of state. Okay, says in this one here, is this what I want as well? Areas of Arabia, the territories of Malichus and of the Eturians, after his execution of Lysanias. Antony had no title to these and no authority to distribute them, but for a time the grant satisfied her. Cleopatra had longed for control of the entire Nabatean realm. That's what I wanted, as well as Judea, and sought the deaths of both Malichus and Herod. All right. So Cleopatra wanting the Nabatean realm, which they just called an area of Arabia, the territory of Malichus. What's happening here, brothers and sisters? Edomites are fighting over territory. That's what's happening here. So, Antigonus is fighting over territory. Cleopatra is fighting over territory. Antony, Mark Antony fighting over territory. Herod, all these people are Edomites. Malichus, a cousin of Herod, fighting over territory. What are the chances that this guy is not an Edomite? Zero. We saw the artifact. He's an Edomite. He's Herod's cousin. We know the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. They're fighting over territory like they've always been. It's Edom versus Edom versus Edom. Just like Daniel 2 tells you that the last kingdom will be iron and clay and is not going to mix. Cleopatra wanted her own family members murdered and killed many of her own family members in order to get power, man. And these guys were no different. They were embroiled in a power struggle from the time they were young. And here Malichus, it tells you, hey, this guy was ruling the Nabatean realm. And he was also, his territory was part of the territories of Arabia. Okay. The Arabians were simply called Nabateans by the Greeks. Remember, however, the Nabateans or the Nabateans are actually friends of the Jews and never represented the entire Arabian rulership. Never. They always ever represented one tribe. Okay. Let's see. Malichus called the governor of the Arabians. Antiquities of the Jews. Why didn't I link this? Okay, well, 1 second. Let me pull that up. Antiquities of the Jews. Let's see, I want chapter 15, book 15, chapter 6. Book 15. Chapter 6. Come on, let's get it. Chapter 6 and 1 to 2. What does that say, page 310? Give me a second. Try and go straight to the page. Three, 10. 6, 1 to 2, did I say? I think so. Says here. So we're looking for Malichus being called governor of the Arabians. Governor of the Arabians, just like his cousin Herod, the Edomite. It says Herod's other affairs were now very prosperous, and he was not to be easily assaulted on any side. Yet did there come upon him a danger that would hazard his entire dominions after Antony had been beaten at the Battle of Actium by Caesar Octavian. Sorry, it was Caesar that I wanted to say, not Antony. Well, and yeah, I'll leave it at that. This guy might have been, anyway. For at that time, both Herod's enemies and friends despaired for his affairs, for it was not probable that he would remain without punishment, who had shown so much friendship for Antony. I know Antony was involved in this as well. Mark Antony. So it happened that his friends despaired and had no hopes of his escape, but for his enemies, they all outwardly appeared to be troubled at his case, but were privately very glad of it. So you see, the Edomites, they're pretending like they're angry or they're sad that Herod's gonna die, but really they're happy because power gonna come to them. As for Herod himself, he saw that there was no one of royal dignity left but Hyrcanus, and therefore he thought it would be for his advantage not to suffer him to be an obstacle in his way any longer. Are you guys hearing that? Now the man's about to plot to kill Hyrcanus, the same Hyrcanus that spared his dad and allowed him to be born. Therefore, he thought it would be for his advantage not to suffer him to be an obstacle in his way any longer. For that, in case he himself survived and escaped the danger he was in, he thought it the safest way to put out of the power of such a man to make any attempt against him at such junctures of affairs, as was more worthy of the kingdom than himself. So Herod was in trouble here with Caesar. And he's like, yo, you know what? I might die, but even if I die, I don't want John Hyrcanus, this Jew, to have any power in his own land, man. So I'm gonna get this guy killed, right? Says, and in case he should be slain by Caesar, what I just said, his envy prompted him to desire to slay him that would otherwise be king after him. So he's like, if I can't be king, this guy can't be king either. I'm gonna get this guy killed. I'm gonna kill this guy. Hyrcanus. If not for Hyrcanus, he wouldn't be alive. While Herod had these things in his mind, there was a certain occasion offered him. For Hyrcanus was of so mild a temper, both then and at other times, that he desired not to meddle with public affairs, nor concern himself with innovations, but left all to fortune and contented himself with what that offered him. But Alexandra, his daughter, was a lover of strife and was exceeding desirous of a change of the government, and spoke to her father not to bear forever Herod's injurious treatment of their family, but to anticipate their future hopes, as he safely might, and desired him to write about these matters to Malchus, right? So you see what's going on here. Now, Israelites are involved in politics, man. Now, this happened with the Maccabees, and it didn't end well for them. Getting involved, fighting, making a treaty with Edomites on this side and making treaties with Edomites on that side. It didn't end well. And now their ancestors are doing the same thing, making treaty with Edomites, man. It says, and this is what we want. So Alexandra desired him, her father, to write about these matters to Malchus, who was then governor of Arabia. Okay? Malchus was what? The governor of Arabia. Okay? What you're gonna find out as well is when he tried to send a letter to Malchus, the person that he sent the letter with just gave it to Herod, yo. So he's sending a letter to Malchus, a Edomite, to help him out in this situation. And the person that he's sending the letter by just gave the letter to the Edomite that was trying to kill him. And the Edomite killed him. All right, so I encourage you to read this whole account here in chapter 6 on page 310 yourself. But the point is, Malchus was called the governor of the Arabian, right? This guy was not no Arabian, okay? He was just the governor, the tyrant, okay? This guy, like Herod, his cousin was a Edomite. This is Malchus the First. So remember, we're looking for who is Aretas, the tyrant that the Maccabeans writers wanted us to know about. Well, we're getting clues. We have the Nabatean king list. We have all the coins showing that these guys have the likeness of Edomites. We have we have them being exposed as Edomites, but also being exposed as governors of Arabia, man. Right? Being called governors of Arabia, but being Edomites. You see? This is the stuff that's hidden between the lines of your history books, man. Right? Couple more minutes. Let me see what's going on here. Yeah, probably about, I would say 20 minutes at the most, and we're finished. Last piece of evidence here, and then we're gonna you know, sort of wrap up this thing on Aretas. Right? Because remember, we're trying to figure out who this Aretas, the tyrant of the Arabs were, man. Right? And we have already seen he was an Edomite, man. Right? Even the Kazne, it says is believed to be the tomb of Aretas the fourth, man. Right? The Kazne being this. Notice how they keep changing the names, eh? This is believed to be the tomb of Aretas the fourth. Look at this. Clearly an Edomite. Edomite so-called angels carved all over this thing. Right? All your official government buildings. A lion. The lion. This looks like a lion with a half-naked Edomite by it. This looks like a naked Edomite that basically fell off the wall. Right? Or, yeah, like the pieces fell off or it didn't finish get carved properly. Right there in Mount Seir, man. The land of the Edomites. Who are these people trying to fool? Let's read this. Let's see what we got here. Petra lost and found, National Geographic. Let me see what they write here. Says today, historians believe this magnificent structure was the tomb of the first century sovereign, perhaps the Nabatean king Aretas IV. Inside is a funerary chamber free of any decorated details, and so far at least free of treasure. Right? This was for King Obadas. That's funny. Another Edomite, Obadas the first. This was his. So you have Aretas the fourth, Obadas the first, a temple for Obadas the first, all in Petra, man. And they're trying to convince us that Arabs built this for themselves. Simply doesn't add up. So the Kazne is believed to be the tomb of Aretas the fourth. Well, I believe it certainly is. Right? So, in summary, when we consider the Maccabean account of a tyrant ruling the Arabs, right, the so-called Greek and Roman architecture of Petra that we just looked at, the Greek coins which show the likeness of Nabatean kings to be that of Edomites, the referral of Herod, the Edomites family as Arabs, okay, the Greek tomb of Aretas the fourth, an Edomite, right? Being the most famous monument of Petra, right? This here, the Kazne, that's the most famous monument in Petra, Esau's country, right? When we consider the mention of Aretas being a cousin of Herod, and when we consider the fact that Esau was ruling the Middle East for 799 years, from Alexander in 323 BC to Romulus in 476 AD. When we consider these things, and finally, when we consider the practice of Esau to appropriate lands and invent histories to suit himself, these evidences all point to Aretas being the Edomite creator of the Nabatean kingdom, right? It's an Edomite kingdom that was posing as an Arab one, okay? So in conclusion, what have we learned in these lessons? This is the end of the 5-part series. What have we learned in these lessons? Well, the so-called number one, the so-called Europeans' true origin, or rather homeland, is the caves of Mount Seir, man. He went there directly after leaving his father Isaac's house and getting married, right? The real names of the so-called European is Esau, Edom, Idumean, or Edomite, right? We learned that, you know, the so-called Europeans stole Japheth's land, culture, and identity and renamed it Europe, right? We learned that he created the Nabatean kingdom to get his heritage, Mount Seir, back, right? And we also learned that Yahweh fulfilled Malachi 1, 1 to 5 by still destroying Mount Seir, despite Esau taking it back, right? Let's have a quick look here. This is Mount Seir, man, on Google Earth. What's happening in Mount Seir? Hmm? Brother Sean, what's happening in Mount Seir, bro?
Looks like a wasteland.
Oh gosh! Nothing Nagwan. Nothing is happening. You know? You're getting a couple tourists to come see you know, the big empty thing, cleft, you know, in the rocks. Imagine when you read about it, people were living there and God even got them to get the people to move out. There were Arabs living in those caves. The Most High make the government move them out and put them in a neighborhood near the place, man. Right? So the Most High mashed that up, man, and Esau can't do nothing to get it back. It's a damn wasteland, right? The same way the Most High gonna turn uh America, England, all these places, man, that Esau ruled. Well, America's gonna be turned into a wasteland. Cause that's his seat. That's his new mounts here. So I mean, let's look at this again, man. Get ready for the new look of America, man. Let's have a quick look. This is what's coming to America, man. This is what's coming to America. Desolation. Nothing now going for miles and miles. People gonna, according to the Most High, they're gonna want to see a man, and they won't. They won't be able to see him from coast to coast. You know, Mount Seir that we were just looking at right here on Petra, just south of southeast of the Dead Sea. Arabs build this. Arab people that where it was illegal for them to build houses, they built this. It's a lie, man. That's a whole other place. All right. Okay. Let's see here. Last scripts. So, and finally here, we will learn that all that is left is the Most High destroying mouths here. And in these scriptures, we'll see that all that is left is the destruction of this spiritual kingdom. Right? Brother Chris, let me get 21 to 25 if you can. This is Daniel 8. Brother Chris, you there?
I'm here. What verse do you need? Daniel 8 and what?
21 to 25.
Okay, this is the book of Daniel, chapter 8, and verse number 21. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Now the being broken, whereas four stood up for it. 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. And in the latter time, and in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people.
Right.
Through his policies also, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand.
Amen. So that's what's coming to Esau's kingdom, man. He's gonna stand up against the prince of princes, but he's gonna be broken without hand. Right? Let's get Revelation 13, 9 and 10. Let me get that, brother Sean.
Revelations 9. And if any man hear an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints.
All right, break that down for us, bro. Explain that one for us.
So he's basically saying they let us into captivity, so they're going to go into captivity. And now that they killed with the sword, they're going to end up being killed with the sword. And that's the patience of his saints, the faith of so us.
That's it, right? So the same man that led us into captivity, he going himself. And the same one that killed our nation with the sword, he gonna get killed with the sword himself, right? And the Most High say that's the patience and faith of the saints. So this is how you know these religions are backwards. Because which of them are waiting for the people that led the so-called Negro into captivity to go into captivity, and the one that killed us with the sword to be killed with the sword? Which of these religions is waiting for that? Not a single one. But that's what we are waiting for the Most High to take vengeance upon our enemies, man. Right? Therefore, we are the saints, right? And that's pursuant before we even reach that point to, I think it's Psalm 148, verse 19 and 20, man. Right? Let's say, you know, he he um he I can't remember the paraphrase. One second. He exalteth the horn of his people. Sorry, it's 148:14. He exalteth the horn of his people, the praise of all his saints, man. So who's his saints? His people, man. Even who? Not everyone. His saints is the children of Israel, man. A people that's near unto him. Praise the Yahweh, man. You know. Let's get Isaiah 66:16. I'll bring that one out. Isaiah 66. And verse 16, it says, For by fire and his sword will Yahweh plead with all flesh, and the slain of Yahweh shall be many, man. Right? I'll go from 15. For behold, Yahweh will come with fire and with his chariots like a whirlwind. Right? To hug and kiss and pet lambs? No. To render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire, man. For by fire and by his sword will Yahweh plead with all flesh, man. And the slain of Yahweh shall be many. Right? That's what's coming upon the kingdom of Esau. Right? And this last one, Obadiah 1 and 18. Let's get that, brother Chris. Obadiah 1, verse 1 and verse 18.
This is the book of Obadiah, chapter 1 and verse number 18. And the house of
Oh, wait,
Jacob.
no. One first.
Oh, verse 1 first?
Yeah, and then read verse 18.
Okay. This is the book of Obadiah, chapter 1 and verse number 1. The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith Yahweh, Elohim concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle.
Right.
Verse number 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them.
They shall kindle in them.
Any remaining of they shall kindle in them and devour them. There shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for Yahweh has spoken.
Yeah, that's it. Right? So there's gonna come a time when the Most High is gonna destroy every single Edomite in the world, man. There'll be none remaining from the house of Esau, for Yahweh have spoken it. Right? And not even the little tourists that he have going to Mount Seir right now will exist. Nobody's going there. You understand? Well, I can't say that. We will have it for possession to do whatever the hell we want with it, as it says in verse 19. But no Edomite will be alive, man. Not a single one. The Most High is going to lay. This is when the spiritual portion of what you say of Malachi 1 comes into play, where you say, I'm going to lay his mountains on his heritage waste. The mountains stand for people. You know, the Most High is going to lay Esau's nation to rest, man. And no one will even remember that this man existed. You know? So that's it, man. That's the true origin of the so-called European. And, his destiny as well as a bonus, right? So all praise to the Most High. That's all I got. Any questions, comments?
That was crazy. It was really good. And, just reading these scriptures here, I don't even know how they could even try to go against us or anything, and just make it work for themselves.
Yeah, it's hopeless, bro. It's hopeless, right? And they don't believe that it's hopeless. So they're actually gonna fight to the bitter end, as Daniel tell you, right? They're gonna fight against the Prince of Princes, but he's still gonna get broken with our hand, So
Yep.
it is what it is.
Yep.
I,
So you
I,
get for all of us, torturing us,
yep,
annoying us, doing all that garbage, killing
yep,
us, arresting us,
yep,
harassing us, all
yep,
these.
yep. They're gonna get the payback, man. I mean, even now in our neighborhood, man, we get harassed by Edomites, bro. We don't trouble them. We don't even talk to them, and they still harass us, bro.
Yep.
You know.
Always.
So, what were you saying? I thought you said something. Yeah, but that's it, family. Let me stop this recording. To everybody who was listening to the recording, definitely thanks for listening. But more importantly, take the words of the Most High and apply them, right? Take hold of these law, statutes, and commandments. You so-called Negroes and you strangers who are sincerely wanting to follow the Most High God, because you can't get to the Most High without being taught by a Jew. Salvation is of the Jews, thus saith Yahweh, right? That's in John 4, verse 22 on down, right? Um, so yeah, for you guys who were watching, I pray that you enjoyed it and that you apply it, because if you don't apply it, it's not going to do you any good at the end of the day, right? So keep the link, and we're always here to help people get to the Most High, right? And to our enemies watching this, the Most High is going to destroy you. You know what it is. So I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you. Beg, grovel, please, enjoy your life. I don't know, but you're not gonna make it. So with that, all praise to the Most High in the name of Yahweh Shai, his most mighty Son. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.